they need.
I know that music need to go off.
I saw
Bruh,
it's about SquarePants.
that is Bob Marley. Nah, we rocking with the Bob Marley, man. Y'all know what y'all talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Speak Easy.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Loyals?
What's going on?
Thank
Come
y'all for
to you
joining
live
us.
from DC. What's up?
But now off
DC.
we have the panel tonight. CJ, JD, welcome Bunk, Ron Lowe, and you
What's
girl
good?
Sunshine. We are talking about what's next with this election. With the next 4 years, we still don't know who's going to be running behind the White House. So, my brothers and my
I thought CJ had the answer. He's at the White House right now.
Yeah, I'm coming to you live. I am live, baby. What's going on?
Thank you for introducing us, Sunshine. Let me bring up our topics for today for the people. Got a lot to get into and break down.
Go. Like and share, y'all.
Like and share. Before we get into this, y'all do see that we have a major discrepancy that we had to mark.
Right. I mean, I would hate. I mean, you might want to. I would hate to get you in trouble with your client, man. You might not want to be in the comment section. We know you got to.
Let me check the comments. Is our client in the comments with us? So it's presidential time. It's a presidential panel.
Time to go.
Oh, this is your first time on the panel. How you feeling? How the atmosphere set? We sorry we couldn't come to y'all on Wednesday. It's a lot going on, but we here now. Let them know, boom.
Man, we ain't sorry.
Excited to be here. I'm really excited to be here. Ever since I joined on with the network, I've been licking my chops to get on one of these panels and chop it up a little bit. So this is a great time to do it, you know, and really it just didn't feel right talking about sports the other night. So, you know, even then I was willing to come on and talk politics, but that didn't quite feel right for that audience maybe. So I'm excited to be here tonight. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we do got Ush in the comments already. What's up, dog? I thought you was with your client. Sunshine, take us off.
Let's go. Hey, no, wait. Before we start, we will acknowledge the attire for this evening. I was told that I better dress up. I was told I was gonna get fired if I ain't have a blazer on. So here we go. So we gonna see all of mine. I might have the stain on the back, so I ain't turning all the way.
Sunshine coming from work, classy as always.
Now, that's what you get when you make me dress up. You gotta have a whole segment about it.
Y'all like and share at DASPKEZ. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get to it. Trump is looking like he's on his way out the door, and Republican Party starting to throw a pity party.
Mhm.
No, he's throwing a tantrum like always. How do you try to file an injunction to stop the count or stop the votes, saying they're cheating?
That's our first topic. He got all kinds of legal allegations and lawsuits.
But here's the thing. After the Al Gore mess up with the George Bush presidential election, remember that? Where Florida ballots was missing and things of that nature. And
They didn't name a president in December.
Educate.
The simple fact is, after that, they should have had something set up for each state to be the same exact way. The simple fact is, after Al Gore got cheated out of the election, and I'm saying this, he was cheated because of all the sticky fingers in the pot trying to move and maneuver and mess with the machines and things to that nature. They should have had something set up exactly the same for every state. When it comes to voting, it should have been one rule across the board, period. And we wouldn't have this drama. Now we got Trump wanting to file court lawsuit to stop things and saying it's cheating and everything. Shut up. You're a big baby. Shut up. Take it like a man and leave the damn office because you got to go.
Sunshine, let me ask you something real quick. Think back to 2 nights ago. It's 2:30 in the morning. Most of America's in bed. Donald Trump stands up in front of cameras and declares victory. How ridiculous is that looking at the map now and where we stand?
Whew.
Looking at that map, because you want to know why? Look at everything we faced the 4 years that Nimrod has been in office. All the racist people that was keeping things quiet are now blatantly downright disrespectful and racist publicly now. So if number 46 minus 1 is in office still, they could still get away with things. They could still get things swept under the rug. They could still get away with a lot of murder and crimes because they're one of the good boys. See me doing a protest.
And when I look at this map, I literally only think about 2016 and how this whole travesty happened. And I'll address the question to JD. When we pull up 2016's electoral college and who was running for the Democratic Party, we know that we were informed that the person running did not want to go to certain states and only wanted to stick to the certain running game and the certain strategies that they stuck to. And we all know Trump went into all them other states and completely took over. And the power shift came back. What's some of our biggest states that had a change?
Go back to the red and blue.
That's 2016.
Now, look at 2016.
Trump won 303 to 212, I think.
Look at Texas. Those are the rednecks. Florida.
Whoa, I'm in Texas.
I know, and you need to be careful.
You're right. That we gotta address that.
Hey, Sunshine live in Buffalo, New York.
You know what I'm saying?
We apologize for Sunshine.
She ain't nowhere close to that smoke, man.
Panel. We supposed to be professional. We apologize for all racial slurs. Cut it out.
Well, and I'll also say this, you know, Texas voted the way it voted, but there were a lot of good people in Texas who really fought hard to try to turn that state blue, and it's getting more purple.
Shout out to Houston. Shout out to Houston.
A lot of good people everywhere. But let's look at the facts. Texas has a lot of hangings. Texas has a lot of unsolved murders on African Americans. Texas has a lot of unsolved murders on Army, military that were bringing things about, bringing things forward. Let's look at the statistics and let's look at what we have been seeing in the news and what they've been covering in the news and what they've been hushing, trying to hush, but parents and family members ain't hushing.
Let's one of the things,
because Texas, you could walk around with your gun. Your gun could be seated on a seat, broad daylight.
Yeah, except for open carry state.
Exactly. And hello.
You can do that in Georgia, though.
Who backed Trump? The guns.
But
who does he support? The guns, the good old boys.
But now one of the things that I see,
I'm speaking true because I'm fed up, and it's time for us to be like Malcolm X. By any means necessary.
Okay, whoa. You jumped all the way to the bottom.
Well,
let's say that. Let's say that.
The whole page.
Let's
I love it. I love the came in here on fire, about to get us taken down and everything.
JD, what were you saying? I was trying to pick up on what you were saying too.
Yeah, me too. but I will say this: going to the map for this year, we see that the states that are either mainly red or the states that are all blue are either from states that have a progressive legislative or they come from urban populations. If we look at like the state of Georgia, you have the most populated areas that have the highest concentration of African Americans, from Atlanta to Columbus to Savannah, and even down in Florida, you have Jacksonville, Tallahassee, you have Orlando, Miami, and I think Fort Lauderdale, and the list goes on. So it's just that when it came to this election, we're seeing that, of course, the biggest thing was people were doing the ballot votes. Well, they were doing the absentee votes, and that's where everything is coming from. And also, once again, by Black people coming out to truly support this party, we are saving this party. We are the backbone of the Democrats currently. Now, that could change in the next 4 to 8 years, but right now, the base of the Democratic Party are African Americans. And that's why
Look at what
people were
Stacey
pushing.
Abrams did in Georgia.
Oh,
my gosh.
absolutely.
Right.
She is a
And
front
she
runner
is the
for
Democratic
change.
Party in Georgia.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
right now, she's it.
And also one of the things, and I'm glad you brought her up on, is that with Stacey Abrams, she was starting the policy to try to go against people that were trying to oppress voters
That's right.
before this happened to her. So she doesn't get the clout that she really deserves. And we have to really understand that there is a problem with our system. There's a problem with how we vote. And there is a problem with the value of our vote when it comes to the amount of people that vote based on the electoral college. So this, so I mean,
I was going
so
to jump
we don't
in
know
with
if anybody's going to
JD.
win.
JD, I wanted to jump in from you from the jump when you was talking about Georgia, because we are still waiting for them, right? So we don't know about that tattoo yet. I think we got a special tattoo coming in on the speakeasy, y'all. We hopefully gonna get it on the page.
That's true. And I've been thinking a lot about this, right? So if we flip Georgia, then I am going to get the tattoo. Already got it clear with my wife. I'm going to get a peach tattoo on the back 40 on the left side for the Democrats. Maybe a little blue outline around it. But what I think I'm going to do is, we've got these two runoff elections in Georgia. So if you want to see proof of the tattoo, then send me, even if it's $1, send me proof that you've donated to either Jon Ossoff or I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other candidate right now. But one of the two.
No.
Send me proof that you've donated to one of the two Democratic runoff campaigns, and I will send you proof of the picture of the tattoo.
So
he's gonna drop his cash.
So
I was Warnock.
Well, I was gonna pull up on you. I was gonna pull up on you and go live while you get the tattoo.
No, that's fine. And the other runoff is Warnock in Georgia.
Warnock, yeah.
So I'm
send
happy.
Send me proof that you've donated, even if it's $1, to either Ossoff's campaign for this runoff or to Warnock's campaign for this runoff.
So you don't feel like we're going to
to
flip
the
Georgia.
mailing list.
You are 2,497 votes away from getting this tattoo.
So we feel
Yeah,
like
and if you check the Facebook post, there's hundreds of people saying they're going to do it as well. So we might have started a little peach movement. We're going to get some business for these tattoo artists that's been struggling.
I love it.
You know what I mean? We're starting a movement here in Georgia, a real Democratic movement to help Stacey Abrams, because she needs our support, right? She can't do it alone.
Wait, you going to get a peach or a peace sign?
A peach.
A peach.
Georgia?
peach.
Georgia peach?
Okay, the peach is going to be where?
That's
On my left butt cheek.
On your butt cheek?
On my left butt cheek.
Okay.
Georgia peach.
Aren't you glad I'm on the team, Sunshine?
Y'all.
This is the kind of heat I'm bringing to the speakeasy.
I ain't getting no peach on my butt cheek.
No tattoos at all. Let's get back to the topic at hand here.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to jump in the whole time because we're talking about this state that we're hoping to swing. And, I've never really been to Georgia, Atlanta, all like that.
I loved it. I want to go back, but they're too hot right now.
All we taught is that people of color is all in and throughout Atlanta, but yet we're struggling to get this state, my home state, Pennsylvania. We ain't even gonna bring them up, but I do want to show us some different demographic and numbers.
Bring Pennsylvania up.
Ron, I wonder if when you saying like turn the table, don't people have to vote to turn the table?
That's what I was going to get to. I can't wait to see the numbers for pretty much everybody 40 and under after this election to see if we jumped up, because this is from 2012 and 2016 election. And we got literally less than 50% of 30 and below voting. And I feel like the states that we have issues with, if we had our people voting, we can go from age, we can go to age demographics and look at it all, and race as well. We're going to break into it, but is that our issue? But JD, you was talking about how the ballot system ain't right, the voting system still ain't right. they don't want to vote.
I mean, if you think about it, right, when it comes to Black people voting, if we going back in history, and truthfully, Black people haven't been able to vote.
We can go really
since,
back into
well,
history. Check this out.
well,
We got
technically
race dating back
1965.
to 1984.
Now, in 1965 was when the Voting Rights Act was actually laid out, and that stopped people from being oppressed to vote. So Black people or African Americans or technically people of color haven't really been voting for really a full century. So the voting turnout, you got to think about it. It took some time for people to really get into the mode of voting to see if their actual vote counted. So just like you pulled up the numbers, what in the 1980s, that's when things started to pick up for Black people to really start voting. So the problem is our vote hasn't been able to matter enough for long enough. Or that's just my opinion, or that's just how I see it. And this is the first year, or this is the first election, I would say, that the voter turnout has been this drastic. I mean, in the millions people have come out to vote, whether it's been in person or whether they've done the absentee voting. So I would say the problem is it's a combination of all things.
You know what? Just speaking on that, let me tell you, I really thought that Trump was gonna pull this off, and
I still feel like he's going to pull it off.
right. I mean, it could be a Atlanta Falcon kind of thing, but
the atmosphere, people. Remember, let's not speak that into the atmosphere.
I didn't really get to hit into it, but I mean, he's planning to appeal the election period, point blank.
Right. He's going to try to pretend like none of this happened.
Baby.
Hey, when it comes to the powers that be and the powers that run America, why should we be surprised if that would happen?
Exactly. But here's the thing. Why you didn't vote?
Oh, okay. We can definitely get into. I wish we could have I would have made a graphic for that, for why Ron didn't vote.
All the things that we talk about and how we're fighting, every vote counts. I love you, but I was really disappointed in you for not voting.
So my father came to visit me this past weekend.
Oh, here we go.
And he pretty much was like, how you talking all that mess on this speakeasy and you ain't about to go vote?
Exactly.
Call me a hypocrite.
Kept that from us until after it was over.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
And he didn't let me to respond, and you're not gonna let me respond clearly. But I took a personal stance. I have a lot of personal stances that's probably gonna piss some people off tonight. And that's what we're here to do. Because by me taking a stance and not voting, I made a decision. I definitely made a decision in who I was supporting. And we can break that down on what not making that vote, what that says for you and what you stand for. Because if you don't vote, you pretty much are conceding to the power party that's running things right now, the Republican Party. If you're not coming out to support, you're not jumping on the Biden train, then it's not working. And why I did not come and jump on the Biden train is because he's not my savior. I don't believe in him and Harris or anything that the Democratic Party is going to do, wants to do, or whatever. Because we are how many days into this election and we are literally not hearing about anything going on with our people. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't seem like anything anybody cares. And actuality, it feels like we have to get ready for an attack that could come. Our people got to keep their head on the swivel because who knows what's going to happen with this country and the possible outrage that could come. And I, deep down inside, hate this country. And the plain point is I love what has happened to our people.
I'm sorry, you said you love what has happened to our people?
Yeah, our awakening. Our awakening, our change, our realization as to what has been going on the past 600 years. And unfortunately, a lot of people do not want to awaken or change or accept what has to come. And unfortunately, my stance, 2020, this election, It literally is nothing but a damn distraction. Damn distraction. Go ahead, eat me alive. I got stats and statistics and reasons.
Did your wife vote?
What's it got to do with anybody else?
I'm just asking you, did your wife vote?
We should invite her on the Zoom call and ask her, because I don't know. What?
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So one of the things that I've seen over the last, 30 days, 60 days, it's like, you have to vote. You have to vote. This is the most important election of your life, right? So one of the things that people were complaining about is that the Democratic Party has not necessarily come out with anything tangible for Black people. But they did come
Leader
out
of
with
that
the
party
Lift Every
refuses to
Voice.
say Black Lives Matter. Excuse me, JD. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. But they did come out with the plan Lift Every Voice, which is about 42 to maybe 50 pages long. But there's no timeline. There's no timeline on when this plan will be executed. So for a lot of people, including myself, it seemed as though that this party of the people was continuously putting out plans that would say that they are going to help, but are they actually going to help? So people have every right to exercise their vote, whether it's you vote or you don't vote. My thing is, if you don't vote, what are you doing for your community? Because you have to think about it. The people that don't vote, the powers that be, the multimillionaires, billionaires, they don't vote, but they have the money to do whatever they want to do. So if someone does exercise their right to not vote, then you have to give back to your community. You have to give something to the cause to state this is why you're not voting. So I'm not going to judge anybody that didn't vote, but as long as you have receipts to back up why you didn't vote, why you have tangibles as to why you aren't voting, what are you doing as far as that? So it's not my place to judge. Come on, bro.
Ernest,
Come on, dog.
One of my favorite comedians, I often quote Cat all the time. After I think it was 2004 when he did his comedy show, but we was going through Bush, and I think it was Bush and Kerry, and he's pretty much was like, do we have to pick a president? Like, why do we have to accept the president for 4 years? Can't we just like date somebody? Why we gotta get? And that's honestly how I feel. Welcome to the show, Ush. Go ahead. I know you're ready to go in.
I'm gonna be real quick. First of all, America, welcome to the Speak Easy. Y'all know Thursday night is normally my show. I ain't been on here for a while because I've been doing things with clients trying to make money for my business. But I heard somebody on here talking about they didn't vote. So, Ron, even though normally I would respect your decision not to vote, I have a huge problem with your decision not to vote. Because you know how I am when it comes to history. And Ron, you are a history buff, are you not?
I try to be.
Okay, so America, being a history buff, I know my biggest supporter when just a few months ago, I had a Juneteenth event here in North Dakota. I preached about the importance of Selma, did I not?
Yeah.
Ron, what do you know about Selma?
Come on, get him, Ush.
Educate us.
So Selma was a place where African Americans, including the great Dr. Martin Luther King and some of the greats that just died from Atlanta, marched all the way from Selma all the way through to the Capitol in order to give us the right to register to vote. Yep. Now, during that time frame, we did not make it past the Edmunds-Potus Bridge because the police officers and other racist people with horses were on the other side that trampled, beat us, and whooped us all the way back to the other side of the bridge. And we didn't even make it half a mile from Brown's Church, all because we wanted to march to a place and go vote. Now, when they finally let us go across that bridge, every single day for the next 12 days, we spent 4 days, we spent 12 hours sleep in ditches and fields and in farmhouses, making our way all the way to the Capitol just to register to vote. Now, why would I sit there and not exercise my right to vote when my ancestors, not even 60 years back, slept in fields, were homeless, had little to no food, were beaten, trampled on with horses, were whooped, were sprayed with hoses, dogs sit on them just to give me the right to have my voice. Now, a voice not heard is a voice wasted. That's what I've always said, and that's what I've always preached. Even if you do not like the two candidates, you have to know there are other people on the ballot that actually do affect directly you. It wasn't just the president, vice president, and the independent. It was other people on that ballot that actually represented your city and your state. If you didn't want to vote for the president, fine. You should have went and voted for the rest of them. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yep, you hit the nail right on the coffin. And the only thing I could say is we've done thousands of shows together, and you've never heard me say don't vote.
You need to vote.
I'd like to add something that I noticed, Ron. Your reasoning for not voting was very similar to a lot of what I heard conservative, especially poor rural conservatives, say that their reason for supporting Donald Trump was in 2016. They didn't feel represented by any of the major, kind of legacy candidates that were out there at the time. They didn't feel like they had a voice. They didn't feel like anybody, especially people in these rural areas, right? They feel very underrepresented by what goes on in the mainstream government, because the only time people care about them.
But I'm confused. They were represented because other places on the ballot represented who you were. There were senators. There was House of Representatives. They were all kind of
no. I'm talking about like represented at the top of the ticket. They didn't feel like, the John Kasichs of the world, the Jeb Bushes of the world, the Marco Rubios of the world really cared about them. For some reason, they thought that a billionaire slumlord reality TV show guy cared about them. But it just struck me that Ron's line of reasoning was very similar to the reasons that I heard. So I think whenever you feel underrepresented, then the natural reaction may be to take an extreme viewpoint to try to get that representation.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is, before y'all say anything else, I'm out. I just wanted to say that real quick. No matter anybody listening to this, make sure you take advantage of other candidates on the ballot to vote for, because that directly represents you. And if you want to see any kind of funding, any kind of advancement in your community, in your area, vote for anybody else. You can leave the front blank for all I care. But the back of that, there are zoning districts and other things that directly affect your pocket and your future and your family. If you're going to live in the zone and district that you live in, vote the rest of it. Ush out.
Exactly.
So a lot of thoughts. I know you ready, Sunshine.
No.
His major reasoning for all the other things on the pallet, his reasoning was things in your pocket.
Hold on. I let you fully speak.
You mean you let us fully? Go ahead. What you got to say, girl?
Let me tell you something. My grandmother worked on a cotton field down in Florida, Pensacola. My grandmother has seen people beaten and killed and shot in front of her. My grandmother, my great-grandmother, God rest her soul, and my great-greats. Sweat, tears, and blood to make today happen for us. And for you to squander that away, I didn't like neither party either, and I voiced that, but I'd be damned. I was voting that 46 minus 1 out of that damn White House office.
That wasn't a goal.
I ain't done yet, bruh.
I'm listening.
The simple fact is, he has brought more racist people out than ever. He has not done anything for us. Yeah, we don't know what Biden's going to do, but he's the lesser of two evils. So instead of not picking anybody, I damn sure made my vote count. Like Ush said, I'm also voting for the people that's in the legislation, the judicial system, to hopefully, because they're the ones that run the White House, because the president can't get everything in. So the simple fact is, we have to watch who we let into every department. So for you not to vote, and you want to speak easy, what we stand for, even CJ voted, and CJ hated everybody too. We didn't agree upon who's in office. I didn't want to vote for neither one of them, because the simple fact is, there's not one person, unless it was Bernie Sanders, I would have voted for Bernie. Bernie was for the people.
Yeah.
Bernie was for the people.
Which Bernie? I like Bernie.
I love Bernie, and I wish Bernie kept running. But you see how they bullied Bernie out, and he didn't have the clout and the backup. If Bernie ran, I would have voted for him. If Senator Kennedy ran, I would have voted for him. Why? Because I see him in the trenches. Why? Because he comes to Buffalo all the time. Why? Because he be busting his ass with the African community.
But we did.
When the virus hit, I ain't done.
We had a
When
race.
the virus hit, Kennedy was on the front lines. I want somebody that's on the front lines. I didn't see Biden on the front lines. I didn't see Kamala on the front lines. I damn sure didn't see Trump on the front lines. I want somebody that's on the front lines with us.
You just
That
gave him
says Black Lives Matter.
You just gave him a reason not to vote because he don't feel like that. So
But here's the thing: the lesser two evils.
Satan-
Biden don't have the country hating African Americans. Trump does. Trump supported them big boys. Those boys stay on post. What was his slogan?
There was no racism in America before Donald Trump.
There was always racism, but
So Donald
they
Trump
came out
single-handedly
full
made things worse
force.
for black people.
I never said there wasn't racism. I said they came out full force thinking they could say anything now because of what we got.
How I ask you this, minus the pandemic, in 4 years, how has your life changed?
Mine.
Right.
Well, yes, sorry.
Besides the pandemic. Besides, gas prices went down.
I'm not talking about just the pandemic. I'm talking about gas prices went down. Who gives a flying fig about gas prices going down?
What?
I care about my son's lives.
Are you
I
crazy?
No, what I care about is making the police stand accordingly for the injustice that they're doing to African Americans. I stand for protecting my sons to make sure they come home safely and not by police officers who have bad raps get swept under the rug and just move to another district.
But that's
I
been
want
happening
somebody-
forever, though. That didn't just start happening.
Man,
It's
listen,
been happening.
we
That-
have to choose the
That's
lesser
been
two
happening.
people.
We
Our
have watched-
ancestors
you
fought
mentioned-
for this.
You said your grandmother.
You're part of the problem if you don't vote.
But I don't.
Part of the problem.
Okay, so I did vote.
And I'm proud of you because I did too.
voted.
I didn't want to, but I did.
I can assure everyone up here that I didn't vote for their guy, regardless of who you think your guy is. I can assure you that I did not vote for your guy. The reason why I voted, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's the same reason why Black people go to church on Easter. It's the same reason why we celebrate Thanksgiving. It's the same reason why we do Christmas every year. It's a tradition. That's why. That's why people get so upset when you don't do it, because it's tradition. Voting has not done anything for Black people as a whole. Not one thing.
I agree.
I vote because I don't want my own people, because I love my people. And I don't like my people being upset at me. So yes, I did go and use my voice, even though I think it's pointless. I truly do. For anyone who says they wouldn't vote, I honestly can't blame you, because if you look at it as a whole, like the lesser of two evils, we've been picking the lesser of two evils forever. When do we stop doing the same thing? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We keep doing the same thing over and over. And I guarantee you, like you were saying about Biden's plan, nothing's gonna happen for Black people. And in 4 more years, we're gonna go back and vote for the Democrats again, even though they don't do anything for us.
Hopefully in 4 more years, we'll have flip that we're going to address.
So yeah, we could get into the Senate and all this good stuff. And I mean, yeah, you want to vote, but politicians have 2 jobs. The first job is to get elected. The second job is to get reelected. That's the rule. They're supposed to tell you what they're going to tell you. And then when they get in office, they're going to do whatever they want. I don't care if you find somebody from the alderman and you follow this brother on up to the top. In the current political system that we have, it's not meant for, it's 2 wings. The head controls the bird. The wings, it's just meant for us to be arguing and fighting and dividing. It's something that keeps us divided. The powers that be that run this world, that run the United States, are going to do what they want, when they want. We got a pandemic going. Americans are losing their jobs left and right. And we arguing about who the next president. To me, we have so many other issues and so many other things that we could be focused on. Now, again, voting on paper, it sounds great. The ideals of it sounds great, but that's just like justice in America sounds great. We know it's and then another thing that gets me, last point, and I'll get off of it, that reasons why I will not bash you, Ron, but I'm standing up for you. Last two reasons. The Electoral College. The Electoral College has just as much weight, if not more weight, than it has more weight than the popular vote. So we literally go out.
That was one of my reasons.
Right.
But
so
I kind of put the slides together, and that's on there, guys.
I got you. But the Electoral College, the Electoral College, yes, and I know in most states where it goes off the popular vote, however many people vote in that state, that's what the state has to go with. But in all states, it's not like that. So it's not based off the popular vote. We saw Hillary Clinton win by damn near 2 million popular votes, and she still lost the election. So three bump. So and I'll say that. And then lastly, our ancestors, and I cannot disagree, and I used to disagree, but I can't, because we literally had ancestors who were hung.
I'm about to talk about them.
So I'm not. I can understand what people are do that. Like we had ancestors that were hung for reading as well. But our people hate to pick up books. I was one of them until recently. So we have it's a lot of things our ancestors did, and it ain't off of. And I can guarantee you, if our ancestors knew we would still vote for this same shit we vote for today, they would have said, "Why in the hell haven't y'all done something better?"
PJ, let me jump in, because I want to talk about our one ancestor, and Ush came on talking about him. Bunk, I want you and JD jump in this too. And I don't mean to talk about our guy MLK, but when I was first learning and studying about him, I, from a Christian standpoint, always had issues with the way he did things. And then when you find out that he only really was a pastor and a huge figure in the church for political reasons, for what he was trying to do for us. And that is what our community responds to. Makes sense. But then when you find out in his last days, he admits that he feels like he led his people into a burning building. And I posted on that statement, I feel like we are exactly where we were left at. And it's no shame on him. It's no shame on us.
We're farther back, my brother.
Thank you. Like we can't do nothing when the community, our community leaders get assassinated. We get taken out. We don't have nobody. It blows my mind that there's only 2 candidates who was getting all the smoke, and that there is no, forget black party, there's no minority. We got thousands of races. Where's another party for us? Bump, JD.
I'm gonna have to piggyback off of CJ. This is all tradition. You got to think about it. The reason why Black people vote for the candidate that we are supposed to vote for is because we don't want our people to be mad at us or bash us for not voting, or make us feel bad for not using our voice. Now, it is true that the ballot does contain other people that do pertain to your state and your local areas. And these things are very important, but it just goes back to these people that are supposed to represent you and your state and your local city. Are they really for you? So I have a problem with this entire process. This has been the party of the people since 1932. We did not have the right to properly vote until 1965. It's been 55 years since we've had our voice legitimately heard. And we are still dealing with these same things. We have candidates that say that we will help you. We will push your agenda forward. And technically, this is the first candidate that I have known to have an actual Black agenda. There's no other candidate that said this, that they have a Black agenda. But it took all of this to get them to say that I have a Black agenda, but they have not acknowledged Black Lives Matter, or they think that it's too tied to the group, but they haven't even acknowledged the movement. So just like CJ said, me personally, I cannot fault somebody for not voting, because that's your right. You now have the right to exercise your right to vote. And that's what you should do. But as long as you're doing something for yourself, for your community, for your people, that's where it matters. You fund your people. You don't fund the system. So these are things that we have to understand, that if somebody wants to vote, let them vote. That is their right to vote. But don't bash somebody that doesn't want to vote, because they have their reason. They have their reasons. And I think this is something that we should all respect.
If you vote, oh, well, if you didn't vote for Biden, then like, or any vote for, you vote for the Green Party, you vote for the Libertarian, that's a vote for Trump. You wasted your vote, this and that. Wait a minute, bro. What kind? First, you bash me about voting. Then when I don't pick your guy, you bash that too. It's like, what's going on? It's insane to me. I hate to cut you off, Brian. That's just
No, you good. You're good.
the sizzle in the spirit.
But it's just that I think we are at a time where people have to accept that voting is now a part of the normal process of one's civic duty. And we are in a democracy. Well, it's really a republic, but we're in a democracy that we have the right to choose how we live. And that's something that people should respect more. But I do not respect how you have these people where they're Trump supporters or Biden supporters, where they're rushing these polling offices, trying to intimidate these people from properly counting these ballots. Now, that in itself, I don't know what to call that. I don't know what crime that is, but it's just that once you go that far, you're taking it a 2-step far. But that's just how I feel about it. I feel like everybody has their own right.
What you
Well,
think?
get in on this.
Yeah, so well, there's two separate things to talk about, and the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the way that the two party system is and the way we vote, and this kind of plays into kind of the overall theme of doing things out of tradition. I really think it's time to revisit some of this process and look at the way we vote. There needs to be more participation, not just from a voting standpoint, but from a candidate standpoint. And I don't mean 15 Republicans and 15 Democrats, but I mean other smaller parties need to be represented in the voting. And so I think some sort of ranked choice voting, where it allows you to rank candidates based on your preference, would lead to more representation across our government.
I love that idea.
Now, I mean, you're not going to get the two parties to relinquish power very easily. So it's really up to groups like the DSA or the Green Party or the Libertarian Party to really force that. And you do it by winning some of these smaller local elections, right? Like the Democratic Socialists of America went 19 for 22 on elections this week. Wow. That's pretty strong. And now it's all at different levels, right? It's local and it's state mostly.
I thought you were about to say 19 and 22. They
no, 19 of 22. Yeah. They went 119, lost 3. And so that shows me that good ideas win. It doesn't necessarily have to be, just having the rock star candidate. If you have the right ideas and you can express them in the proper way, then you can start to build that movement. But it's, you're fighting oppression from above, right? You're fighting the Democrats and the Republicans because neither of them want to give up any room at the table. So I'm just a proponent of looking at systems, especially archaic systems, and figuring out a better way to do them. And I don't think that stuff that was devised 200 years ago, 250 years ago is necessarily the best way to do it in the modern era. Our system of government was designed for a country of like 30 million people. We have, close to 400 million people probably when the census gets counted. So it's time to revisit some things.
So to go off what Bump just said, we are in a system that no longer supports the agenda of the average American, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's neither of these candidates, neither of any of the mainstream candidates other than Bernie talked about really anything that I cared about. Bernie was the only candidate that talked about anything that I cared about for the presidential candidate.
Let me just bring up Bernie. I could not understand how the average person, like average work, I'm gonna just say average, middle class American and below, wasn't beating down the door for Bernie. One, he was just as controversial and radical as Donald Trump, almost like the opposite. Like you got to fight fire with fire. That's why I didn't think Biden was going to win, because he comes off as a nice, sweet guy. Even though I imagine he's not like that behind closed doors, but he comes off as a sweet old man. I didn't think.
The crime bill.
Good job. But Bernie, when Bernie made mention of, he said there shouldn't be billionaires, and people like regular people like myself lost their minds. Oh, what are you gonna do with people? You ain't got $1 billion, bro. What? But what Bernie, if people actually listen to Bernie, what Bernie said was, if billionaires paid their fair share of taxes every year, they wouldn't be able to afford to stay billionaires, because they would come out of that bracket just by paying taxes, which means the money will be evenly distributed. When they take the money out of my pocket, they don't take into account, well, he won't still be able to be whatever I got in my account. They just gonna tax me anyway because I'm middle class.
That's right.
So when people wasn't just off that alone on board, like I'm like, can you imagine getting free healthcare and free this and that, and your taxes not actually going up anything because they just paying for it? But I just couldn't understand why we fight so hard for two people.
It's simple, CJ. It's simple. They scare people with the socialism word and the communism word. You see it in Miami-Dade County with what happened in the vote in the presidential election, right? They basically convinced Cuban Americans that Biden was, a Castro puppet, which is just crazy.
Yeah, can we talk about that? That's one of the things I want to talk about. Some of the biggest things that jumped out
Wild.
to me and Latino men. It's only 3% of the votes, but yeah, they are just as Trump as white men and white women are. No shot at you, but it's almost 75% for those three categories.
What I want to see, and this is what I pray we see. I would like to see if it's Asian or African American or Latino out here running for us, out here standing up and saying they're going to fight for us, for the African American community. And they're going to make sure the water is clean for everybody. They're going to make sure that everything is fair and justice and equality.
Money in it.
I think the sad thing about the Latino community is they are more agitated with each other than even our community. Like I was listening to Tito Ortiz talk about why he was voting for Trump and how he felt about the people from Mexico.
Oh my God. I was like, dude, do you hear what you're saying? It was.
He's like, we don't even really got to get into it.
But again, okay, so we can really, all right, if we go in that route, then let's just look at, we can actually look at it both ways. Black people who will vote for Trump because he said some erroneous things about black people and about brown people. Joe Biden, he has done some nasty things. Like he has, like, say for instance, wrote the crime bill. He said that he didn't want his kids to be a part of the racial jungle. He's best friends with a former Grand Wizard for the Ku Klux Klan. Like it's a lot of questionable things, but there are going to be my own people will bash you, will talk bad about, will act like you are the world, and then say you don't have a voice now. We going back to slavery days. You could just work for free, pay your taxes just like me, but you don't have a voice because you didn't vote for XYZ. But it just bothers me. It's like, why do we give some people pass? Like Bill Clinton was the president when the crime bill was put in place, but yet black people and more black people were incarcerated in those 8 years than any other 8-year span outside of, I guess, when we were runaway slaves or whatnot. But any 8-year span, but yet if you ask the ordinary black person, they'll say Bill Clinton is invited to the barbecue. It's wild to me. And like we can see where where there are certain groups that get certain legislations written for them, but yet we've been in this country since before anyone else was in this country, and there's not one piece of legislation with our name on it. And I can't get down with a system who saw enough value in me to come over here, take my land, imprison me, enslave me, oppress me, take everything from me, and then make me a second-class citizen in my own land, and then tell me to pull myself up by my own bootstraps. And literally keep that word. To this day, we literally have to work for everything we get. My thing is, when do we wake up and realize that we're not going to be able to get where we want to get by voting? Now, again, voting sounds good on paper. And maybe eventually if we get enough people and enough of people that's really looking out for us, maybe that might change. But as of today, until we decide that we got to stick together and start worrying about black, just like every 4 years, I want to say argue people, debate people about voting. Why aren't we debating about what business we're going to invest our monies in the community? Why are we debating about how long it's going to take us to build black? We got Chinatown, we got Little Italy Town, we got all these different. When are we going to start debating stuff about that? When are we going to come together and care about black economics?
Seems like you setting us up for a transition to our next topic.
Right. Like, when are we going to start saying, you know what? If this company doesn't have an X amount of black people on their chair, their board, we're not shopping there. They don't have enough representation. When are we going to start talking about that? Why do we put so much emphasis on voting for somebody who don't even know you? Man, when see you in the street and we walk right past you. You want to argue with your own people? It just boggles my mind.
Actually, they'll go to the other side of the street to get away from you because
Right,
they're
bro,
afraid.
these folks, you can't get nowhere near. You think these people care about you? They don't know you. JD, bro, me and you was in sales.
Mhm.
Right? You come off when you selling as this guy, I really care about you. I do. Now, there are some people who say that care. Now, I'm not, don't get me wrong. But 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to get the sale. I'm just caring about me. I don't care really what happened. It's the same thing with them.
Facts.
They're doing, and I can't be
Facts.
mad at a politician for doing their job because they got a family to feed too. But the people don't care nothing about you. It's all about getting my money. And that's what we all do. We all worry about us, right? That's the same thing. So to think that people who worry about them gonna now all of a sudden start caring about you, who watch the family structure, our family structure just get completely dismantled over the go from 75% to 7% in tech. But come on, man, y'all crazy. You are insane. We are the only people who can fix our problem.
So
There ain't gonna be no
to
damn-
go off of what, so I just want to piggyback off of CJ before we go to the next topic. You got to think about there are several levels when it comes to an overall economy, several levels. So one of the things that I realized with our community, with Black people, we focus on 2 things: politics and education. Those 2 things, because those 2 things help you, because one deals with knowledge and the other helps you voice your opinions and voice your concerns. But the base of everything starts with economics. It's economics, then it is your policing, then it goes to your courts, then it's politics. And then after that, you have your media, the education. So the reason why our vote doesn't matter as much as it should is because we don't have a stake in the economical base of this country. Every single country in the world is a business. Every country has its own tax ID. That's why when people or these countries go to war, it's always about money. It's not about somebody doing something wrong to somebody else. It's not something about this. It's all about the money. It's all about the dollar. So that's why when this whole pandemic broke out, it was more so about countries crashing because they were losing value in the capitalistic world that we have built everything upon. So Black people, from what I know and from what I read, if you listen to like a Dr. Claude Anderson that has been in politics, that has run on different campaigns,
President
you start
Carter.
with economics, huh?
Nah, I said that's President Carter's man. He ran as an
Exactly. And also Dr. Claude Anderson was a part of the affirmative action as well. So
Yeah.
it starts with economics. If you have economics, this means that you control resources, you control money, and you have influence. These 1%ers, these multi-billionaires or whatever, like a Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, they don't vote. They don't have to vote because their pocket weighs more than technically an entire state that has millions of people that are middle-class citizens. So going to what Sanders was saying, that there shouldn't be any billionaires, it's because of that very reason. And that's why people are at that's why they're on such defense. Why should I vote or should I not vote? Does my vote count? But if I vote, do I have the proper representation in my government? And it's not just about somebody that looks like me. Does somebody fight for what matters? Does somebody fight for the people? And that's the problem.
You know, one
Politicians
thing,
always
talking about all this money, we haven't brought it up yet on this episode, and they haven't brought it up in the election, is poverty. Like, we have a ridiculous issue, and we don't even have to talk about Black communities. We don't have to talk about Latino communities, white communities. Like, why aren't we doing anything for our poverty rates and our homeless?
Can't
Like,
even feed the homeless without going to jail. That's against the damn law.
and I love what Bunk said. We got a tough problem solving problems if we ain't dropping bombs on them. Like,
That's it.
come on, follow the money.
Follow the money.
You got to follow the money.
But it's
Yeah,
like,
I'll tell you, neither of the 2 major candidates that are still left standing tonight care anything about solving poverty. I mean, it might be a stamp on Joe Biden's website somewhere. It might be an issue item somewhere, but like, there's nothing that they've said has.
I feel like it's
any
such
kind
a
of tangible plan.
It's such an easy fix, Bunk. It's just a selfish issue. Like, we dropped a couple billion for some stimulus check. like there's billionaires. And
We spent $3 trillion to prop up the stock market for
We got
30
one
minutes
check.
this year.
Countries was getting those checks every week. We got one, and we grateful. But yet, we can fix our problem.
Yeah.
It's real easy. It feels. Go
Bro,
ahead. CJ.
I was gonna say, bro, if you just take the so-called African American, you just take us, the African American, alone, not any other brown, just us. We bring in a couple trillions of dollars, right, per year.
True.
If we decided to become our own nation, we would be one of the top 10 wealthiest nations in the world, and we don't own nothing. Like JD was saying, the United States of America is a corporation. Like, it's really a corporation. And I want you to think about this. If you work at your job, like wherever your job is, when they get ready to pick the president of your company, do you really think they give a damn about what you think? No, it's the stockholders. That's the people who got the money, the people who control the money is who gonna pick the president of your company.
So let me jump in and add a parenthesis, CJ. One of our famous black leaders, Dick Gregory, said, listen, you got to understand who the enemy is. And when we say the white man is the enemy, if you can't call up and adjust and move the stock market, you ain't the enemy.
Yeah, you ain't the enemy. Yeah, right, bro. That's another thing. That's another reason why I don't like the two-party system, and I don't like how it has our people so on edge for something that's ultimately not gonna do anything for us. At the worst, it's gonna hurt us, but it's shown over years that it's not gonna do anything for us. What are you gonna expect? But yeah, you are right, bro. It's not everybody, and that's another. I hate it. I hate the two-party system because it forces you to fight each other, and it forces you to pick a side. I could have so much in common with my next door neighbor. I have more in common with my next door neighbor. I guarantee you, we're not voting the same way. All of our ideals are in line. We feel the same way about everything. We probably bring in the same. Everything lines up, but he votes one way, and I vote another way.
So
why?
Let's talk about
no sense.
What can we do? I feel like we should stop the complaining here, and we should start giving solutions and fixing problems. Bunk, I love your ranking idea. Sunshine, talk to us about our party. I know we got a party that we working on.
That's why I thought Ush was jumping on here for. I was getting ready to hype him up. Then he started talking about some other.
Sunshine brought it up early. We didn't get to jump into it. Flip.
Oh, is Sunshine frozen or she sleep?
No, she's trying to gather her thoughts. She about to kill me. Flip.
Sunshine, like, I'm gonna have to slap all these talking about voting and traditions.
I'm gonna make that clip where she went off onto me into a promo. I love it. I mean, like, don't hurt me.
I'm gonna honestly say this. I said this to my kids. I say it to anybody I talk to.
Speak, Queen.
I don't want to live in the United States.
Ooh, well, we talk about it all the time. But where would you go? Where would you go? Where would be different? Where you could get the same amenities, like where you live and all this stuff. Where could you go and it not be like here? Where
Hello, Ghana.
But listen, even in Ghana, I just saw this a couple weeks ago.
They got things going on.
They got stuff going on over there too. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and such, I'm gonna give it right back to you. But you know, one of the things is we were here first.
We were
our people.
And
if anything, we gonna be liberated right here. We were just fine before they came over here, and we gonna be just fine when this thing settles. Like, so we.
Let me say this.
Go ahead. See that.
I've been listening to everybody.
I'm sorry.
And I've been I've been listening to everybody and where they come from and where they're talking about. I'm gonna tell you what Sunshine feels deep in her heart. I know what the Bible says, but I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I feel like Malcolm X. I'm dead serious. I read him in 9th grade. I read his studies, his books. I watched the videos, his segments, his clips. Then I compared him to Dr. King. And Mom gonna say this too. I feel Dr. King did not do his proper justice with the high education he had and the foot level he had, and he had people's ears. Malcolm had people's ears. Malcolm got things done, though. They feared Malcolm. It's time for them to really fear us. But how can they fear us if we're not on one accord like they were back in Malcolm's time? The problem is we lack the Malcolms. We lack the enemies necessary. We lack the unity. We lack everything because it's a doggy dog world, and the mental psychics, the mental that and I'm gonna say this, white people has put in the head, and high yellow and dark skin don't mix. House niggas here, and I said it, and the dark skins in the field, and how they already segregated us, separated us, divided us, and put it in your head. So now you got that stinking mind thinking, instead of thinking of unity, instead of thinking of let me help my sister out, let me help my brother out, let it be for self. There's so much selfishness going on in this world right now. It's disgusting. Our people alone are killing each other. Yes, Caucasians killing Caucasians and things like that. Yeah. No offense, I don't give a damn about them. I care about my people. But how can I be the only one, or how can we be the only ones to care about our people and they don't even give a damn about themselves? It's the mentality. There's no one doing the old school villages. There's hardly any of them. There's hardly any big mamas. There's hardly any unity. And where that came is after fighting for us not to be segregated, fighting for, well, damn, I'd rather be segregated again if that's going to bring us to be unified. Like, what the hell? It's just mine. What's changed? The dogs, the biting, the police brutality is still the same. It's still the damn same. It's the same when Malcolm and Martin was alive. It's the same. So what the hell has changed? Nothing. Are we not fired up enough to say enough is enough and to do a Malcolm? They feared him. You know how many African Americans followed him and stood there when one of his people was arrested? He made sure beat up. He made sure everybody locked down that street. And nobody moved until he made the gesture. One accord. They turned on agreement. They walked in agreement. They were together.
You know, this book that I love to read talks about two prophets that are going to get sent to the world and get executed. And I
want to see
it's painful to talk about them too. And Bunk, I don't know if you can. I got to ask you a question about Exodus, because I'm positive. What you say? I'm positive you have probably never had the thought that I need to flee. I need to go get what's the word? I think it starts with an R, but go and receive, new grace. You need new earth, new life. Like what our community does with the motherland, Africa. We are initially born with the thought, I'm supposed to get back there eventually.
Yeah, I've never thought I'd have to go back to England.
Exactly. And I really think we should ask our people why we think like that. And we were talking about moving to different locations and how a lot of people in our comments said there ain't really anywhere to go. And that's true. We can talk about the way this world is hitting, but the fact that you're saying that there is no place, refuge, I thought of the word, there's no place to go seek refuge is almost insane. And I know personally, I've lived on a couple continents, and America's definitely not my favorite. And I've never been able to get to the motherland, Africa, one day, but my favorite country is Japan. And guess what? Being a minority, someone of color, different, whatever you are, over there compared to, it's not the same. It's not, I mean, we walk around with guns. We walk around strapped. We got to wear protector. We got to look out for the cops. We got to We don't know we can go outside. We got to be careful we go into a store. And that's outside of just black. I mean, we have a violent country. So for you to say that there's nowhere to go, like there's places to get away to where you can go get your family, build communities, get all kinds of things and seek refuge
in Japan.
Community and get away from the tyranny that's about to pour on this world.
Wait. So you're saying I could take we as a black people can pick up and move to Japan, and they're gonna be fine with us setting up new shop. We coming in.
I said Japan was my favorite
Don't
place.
let two of y'all do that.
He's saying
I said Japan was my favorite place to
like,
live. I ain't going.
You go and then
Well, no, you said there's nowhere to go. So where could we go as
I told you where I want us to go. I want all of us to get together and we going to Ghana. We can go to Taiwan, or we can pick a country.
Ron, you can't leave me here, man.
But
y'all can't.
Bro, we are not. A lot of people get that missituated. Like you're going away forever. No, we ain't gonna go over there and stay forever. I'm probably gonna be back on a flight next month. But we relocating.
You just need a spot.
I gotta come back and work. I got business ventures and stuff.
All right. Well, I'll just say this: the original man or woman originated from Africa. So every single person on this planet has originated from Africa. It just is what it is. We are the only people, kind of African Americans on the planet, who we don't really know who we are. Even if you go back to Africa, you have no clue if you have roots in Ghana. That would be, you would just be picking a place, and they are actively inviting people to come back. And yeah, you can start new traditions and nothing wrong with that. I just don't see the need. I feel like wherever we go is going to be tough. Now we talk about what our ancestors died for. Our ancestors literally was broken right here on our land. Now, I do think that we should have enough wealth that we own multiple places on the planet, not just here in America, but we have land ownership in Africa, in Australia, in all over the country. Everywhere we should have some, wealth and land. But we're going to struggle wherever, bro. Like, that to me would almost be a cop-out. Your ancestor, and we talk about that, like your ancestors died for your right to vote. Your ancestors say, wait a minute, you telling me I went through all that for you to pick up and leave?
For you to give up the fight. I feel like I'm and then I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna get you sunshine when you were saying about there's no more Malcolms. And even Martin, and they got rid of Martin because Martin changed up his pay. Martin said, you know what? Bump a seat at your table. Y'all obviously don't get it. They got rid of Martin because he started talking about economics. He said, you know what? How about this? No more seat at your table. Make everything equal as far as economics is concerned, and let us build our own table. That's why they got rid of Martin. J. Edgar Hoover said there will never be another Black Messiah unless we create him. That's what J. Edgar Hoover said. That's why it's been systematically built this way for there to be no more Malcolms. For when you get first and foremost, the most hated creature on the planet is a straight, strong Black man. Hated everywhere. Black man to blame. Let me see. You can look on social media. If Trump would have won, they was gonna blame Black men. Biden's gonna win anyway. They gonna say now they saying no Black men. You voted for Trump. It's everybody blames the Black man. The Black man, it's almost like he's portrayed as toxic. A straight Black. Any movie you watch, any a television show you watch, straight Black men are portrayed in the worst way. Yes, they're just not gonna let us. It's just not happening in America. They're not going to portray us to be right. And they want it that way because you need those strong and Malcolm types, the guys that can speak with fire and brimstone, but he's frowned upon.
This is what I want to do. I want to see the African American community take over. Bakeries, lawyers, doctors. I want grants out there, someone to help write grants for people to open up Black businesses. I want us to help leave a legacy for our children that they can't touch. I want to see unity. And I don't know what the hell it's going to take to get our African American fellow man and woman to be on one accord. I really don't know.
The only thing that we agree on is voting Democrat. And you see where the hell that's gotten us.
I don't give about Democrat or Republican. I want us to have a black party. Let's have a black party, really about the black party, and be about the black party.
Legislation with our name on it. Let me tell you this. If there was a party where I could see some tangible plans for me and my people, this is what we're gonna do. And we're not gonna stop until we do it.
Yep.
You got me. But that doesn't happen. I'm supposed to go off hopes and dreams and just keep celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving every year, and every 4 years I vote, so I can be a good old boy. So y'all be happy right here. It's insane to me.
I don't fall in line, as y'all can see. Yeah, no.
So we said a couple things. One, Bunk, I'm about to direct this towards you because I really want your thoughts. One, CJ saying black man is the most under attack creature on the face of the earth. Two, us possibly Exodus. And you quickly said you don't want to see that happen. Very shocking, quick response. Sunshine, an all black party. How you feel about those things? Do you think you would be the type of guy that will get behind an all black party?
So I want to do that last.
Okay.
And I'll address the first one first. No, I don't want to see black people leave America. I think diversity is what could potentially one day make us great. We like to think that we're great, and for some people we are, but for a lot of people we're not. But I think one of the things that could lead us to greatness as a society as a whole is diversity, right? Having different people with different backgrounds and different ideas, all having a voice at the table and all being able to contribute to move this society forward, right? Not just a certain group of people, not just a certain economic bracket, but move every kind of a rising tide raises all ships deal. We need to look at ways to move everyone forward. And the only way you're going to do that is to give everyone representation. And then the second, what was the second one, Ron?
Black man is the most
black party.
Oh, yeah. No, the black man is the most feared creature on the planet, right? That's what you said, CJ. I don't necessarily dispute that at all. If you go back and look at like literature and art and film, I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer, right? Not just what you see in society, but it's, art representing, things are presented. Think about how we think about good and evil, right? You think about light and dark or white and black, you know what I mean? So like, it's pretty much like it's been in front of your face, in front of my face since we were kids. Most people just don't think about it, or most white people probably don't think about it in their terms because, hey, we're always on the good side of that equation, right? So until you actually understand that sort of representation impacts people negatively, then you're just not going to get it, right? But I agree with CJ. That's definitely true. And then the third thing, as to an all-black party, I think that sounds really good on its face. But the issue is that black people are a diverse people. That you don't all agree on all topics, just like white people, just like any race. So what I would like to see is, I don't really care what lines you draw the different parties on, but I would like, as I mentioned earlier, like to see the smaller parties, people like us who aren't happy with the major parties become active in these smaller parties and try to help build them up instead of just always falling in line with the two major parties. Yeah, you gotta vote for a Republican or a Democrat or maybe a Libertarian or whoever in the presidential election, but in the local elections you can 100% support smaller candidates from smaller parties and they can win based on their ideas. I'm not sure what the representation is or what the makeup is in the next census of black people as far as the makeup of our population. I think in the last census it was like 15%, something like that. So even if that you do have a black people's party, you probably still get pushed out by the Democrats and the Republicans. what you need is all these minority parties to band together and say, hey guys, we're not going to play ball with y'all if we don't get a seat at the table. We're not going to come support your candidates on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November every 4 years, unless we're represented either in the actual legislative bodies or in the party platforms.
13%. Shout out Billy Graham. We got to get out of here, y'all. JD, how you feel about that? Everything Bunk just said?
So when I was looking at the election, when it first started, when they were going through what mattered most to parties, the top thing for Democrats was racial inequality. That was over 30%. It was like 32%. And then it was coronavirus. That was about 26%. So just like Bronx said, Black people, we are a diverse people. We do not agree on the same things. We see things so differently. But what has caused us to be divided is what can unify us. Just because we see differently than our brother, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. But we're taught that it's wrong because there are so many different social systems that are placed in the Black community as almost as if there is a ranking or there's some type of popularity that you have to be this way, you have to be this way. And that's the biggest problem. One thing that we do not have is a code. I know for sure, and I've seen it blatantly several times, me being in sales, I have seen two Caucasian men that do not like each other, but they will chop it up as if they are the best of friends, and they will say that, hey, I'm voting for him, I'm voting for him. I actually saw that earlier this week. Oh yeah, I voted for Trump. Oh yeah. But he came back to me and said, I don't like him. I don't like Trump, but I voted. So they have a code.
Yep.
Every single race that has some type of community, where it's an Asian town, where it's a Koreatown, Mexican town, etc., there is a code that they follow no matter what. And that is the law of the land. When the Bible says you must follow the law of the land, it's not talking about the actual legal system. It's talking about the social system. And that's one thing that we don't have. We don't have a code. So
said that earlier in the comments too.
Exactly. So when it comes to voting, voting has not been a successful endeavor for Black people because we do not have the proper representation, meaning that not just from people that look like us, but people that fight for us. There is not enough money that is backed in our community that will support these candidates because you know why? They know we don't have a code. They know that we are all on separate accords and Black people going to spend money wherever, regardless. Right. It don't matter who's in office. They going out to buy the latest fashion or they're going out to buy the latest food. I mean, entertainment in a way is our God. Not saying that, yeah, it is. Because if you think about it, if you try to take away these things that are so important to Black people, they will lose their mind. But when it comes down to a system, it starts with economics. It starts
That's
with
a great
economics.
point. That's a great point. And I think that's where the party idea can really be powerful. You don't necessarily have to agree on platform policies and things like that. But if you can come to some sort of agreement where you're going to spend your money and who you're going to spend your money with, that's how you can really affect change. At least quickly.
Exactly, because the dollar in the Black community bounces 0 to 1 time versus in the Mexican community or the Hispanic community, it bounces from 0 to over 120 times. So there has to be some type of selflessness for our people.
Right.
But not everybody wants to go through that because everybody sees as though if I have the same opportunity as my brother, then that means that I'm able to get the same win. But if everybody has access to 1/4 of the resources, not everybody's going to make it. No one's going to come close to making it. We are going to literally fight tooth and nail and say, damn you, I'm about to get mine. And then once you get it, you just forget, like, yo, I worked hard just like him, but I was just better. And that's just what it's coming down to. So I don't know, like with everything going on with this election and these ballots, I don't know if I'll be that willing to vote again, to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion.
Final thoughts, y'all.
Said my piece.
Said my piece. What JD just said, the biggest thing that jumped out to me was what you was talking about, CJ, with how could we give up the fight? And in his spiel, he made me realize that there was never a fight. We were just, if you watch the old battle movie, war movies, there's the dudes that's walking around with instruments and flags. And now they're just like, wait, what? Why don't they got no gun? And we could possibly feel like that because from the moment we've been brought over here, every atmosphere, every single environment that we've been in, from Portugal to Negro land to the coast of Africa, Portugal, Spain, all getting over to America, we have been put in position to be exterminated. And why stop fighting? To avoid being exterminated. My final thought, I am so gung-ho for Exodus. And like I said, Bump, I'm not leaving forever, but my goal
Just come back and see me, or let me come see y'all.
Definitely,
I can come see y'all, you know?
I'm telling y'all, Ron's plan December 2022 is hopefully to have some land somewhere in Africa.
I love it, bro. I ain't that.
Like to visit Africa, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I've never even been there. So, but I'm doing my research.
I do want to visit Africa.
I know at one time I was real like gung-ho about getting the hell out of the United States. I'm not even gonna lie. But the more I research our history and the more I realize that, yeah, some of us came from Africa. But
yeah, you said something very important to Sunshine earlier. You was like, hey, in the past 4 years, have your life changed that much?
Yeah, that life ain't changed. Like, you got the only thing that gas went down. I know somebody said they don't care about gas, but I mean, it being in Atlanta, having gas be $1.49 is way better than being $4.49. But our lives, for the most part, I mean, our lives don't really change. I mean, we put so much emphasis and focus on things that's not really gonna change our lives. Like you're saying, the local elections are even more important than this. And you don't see Black people get excited about local elections at all. They don't talk about local elections at all. But you worry about the free world, like the people who's running the ship. And we just a tiny little call. These people don't care about us. Like, it's time to care about ourselves and fix our own problems.
Exactly.
That's it for me. 10:30, y'all. What's up? I love y'all.
We're done. We wrapping
Hey,
up.
thanks for having me, Sunshine. JD, this is the first time I really got to kick it with you two. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's used to us three at the top.
Yeah, I'm used to y'all two. I'll check y'all later.
It's a pleasure to have Sunshine and JD join the three of us.
Real too, bro.
Appreciate it.
The revolution will not be televised. Thank y'all for joining in. Keep that. Go type in A-D-A-S-P-K-E-Z. That easy. Twitter, Instagram.
Good night.
Everything. Give us a follow, subscribe. Support what we doing. We support you too. We out here.